Autumn is my favorite time of year. Cozy, brisk mornings, curating seasonal touches that make our home feel like fall, adding soft elements to easily get comfortable as the weather gets cooler, making new recipes, and picking up baking more. That tends to happen every fall. This video is going to hold a little bit of all of that today. If you are new around here, my name's KyAnn and I'm a mom of 3 little kids, all 3 and under, and I share lots of content around Christian motherhood, intentional daily rhythms, homemaking, and simple living. I would love for you to subscribe if you like that kind of content and join this little growing YouTube family. In today's video, I'm going to bring you along for a couple of fall mornings in our home recently, embracing the changing season, getting creative with creating a cozy fall atmosphere on a budget, adding curated touches to just really emphasize the cozy and homey feel that we all love during fall, and making a few yummy fall recipes that I love. One specifically for a yummy fall coffee drink for all my coffee lovers later in this video. I don't know about you guys, but fall is truly just my favorite. I'm learning to love all of the seasons. I think for a long time, fall was my absolute favorite and it just far surpassed the rest. And I'm honestly, as I get older, I feel like I'm learning to embrace the uniqueness and the specialness of each season individually. But I think fall is still the one that I lean towards the most. Somehow, like, the days slowing down, although our schedule is still quite busy in the fall and gearing up for the end of the year, it's very busy, but also like it almost feels slower when I am at home. Just the season of fall in general, just the cloudy gray days as the weather starts to cool down, looking outside, seeing the leaves falling. I don't know, maybe it makes me slow down just to embrace that a little bit. Maybe just the feeling of fall in general just feels a little bit slower. I don't know if anyone else resonates with that, but I feel like that in general when I think about fall. One of the things we've been doing recently, not just because it's fall, but just in general, is trying to get outside every single morning as quickly as we can. Typically this happens probably between 8 and 9 a.m. and it's not always the second the kids get out of bed. Sometimes it's right away when they get out of bed and sometimes it's a little bit later in the morning, but really just the sooner that we can get outside, the better. And if you look this up, getting outside and getting sunlight in your eyeballs first thing in the morning, there's actually a lot of scientific benefits to it. It improves your mood, it improves your sleep, it helps regulate your hormones, it helps boost your immune support. It honestly helps with a ton of things. You should look into it because it's really interesting. But I feel like even aside from the scientific benefits, it's just helping us even just in the mood aspect. Just getting outside, feeling the wind on our face. It's not cold enough that we're freezing by any means. Obviously, you can see my son was still barefoot out there and he was totally fine, but we are bringing blankets just to help with the wind. It's a little bit brisk in the morning sometimes, which we're enjoying, but it's fun to cozy up with a blanket and just sit out there. We just spent a few minutes out there. Started with spending 5 to 10 minutes outside, and now we're probably spending an average of like, I don't know, 15, I would say, and I'd like to work up to like 15 to 30 minutes. We spend time outside throughout the day, but the longer that you can be outside in the morning, there's just a lot of benefits to getting that first morning sun as early as you can, which is really interesting. I'm enjoying learning a little bit about that right now, but my kids are also enjoying it. It's a rhythm that they're really looking forward to each morning. When they get up, they want to go outside, they want to get their blankets, and they want to just sit out there, and we just chill. We usually just stay on the porch. Sometimes my son runs around a little bit in the yard, but typically we just cuddle up on the porch and we look at the trees and we look at the birds and we talk about the things that God has made. You know, we talk about the day and the weather and just kind of all of those things, but I feel like it helps to really start our day off slow with intention and with connection, just cuddling together, taking a few minutes before the rush of the day to just be grateful for the things that the Lord has given us, to be observant, to look around in nature and to see all the beautiful things that He has created and blessed us with and that we get to observe and watch every single day. It just slows you down a little bit to the tiny little things that kids notice. Especially having kids, I think, does help with that because they notice even just the tiniest things that change day to day, and they're becoming even more observant with doing this. So this is a rhythm and habit that I have really been enjoying, and it has, I don't know, I look forward to it every day. There are so many elements of fall that I look forward to every single year, and one of them is really decorating our home and curating a cozy atmosphere in our home. We're going to spend some time adding some seasonal touches to our home that are really cheap and on a budget, that are affordable. I didn't want to spend a lot of money this year, but I really did want it to feel like fall and to feel cozy and to just feel different. I love to add little touches to each season to really just embrace the uniqueness that each season brings with it, and to just kind of like be a bookmark for the changing season, to change the vibe a little bit within our home to reflect that. This year, I honestly didn't really want to spend a lot of money. I had some fall decor, some pumpkins, some different things like that that I've just collected over the years. And I did get a few thrifted vintage pieces. So like this picture, for instance, I found on Facebook Marketplace. I absolutely love it. It's something that I can change with the season. So even though I can fill it with fall, like foliage and leaves and stuff like that right now, I could use this every single season. I could use it in the spring. I could use it in the summer. I could use it for Christmas even, and just change up what I put inside of it. So I was really looking for a few pieces that were vintage or thrifted and really good prices that I could simply change out what's inside of them to feel like a different season. I have some seasonal things for fall, like I said, but they were all like very specifically fall, like pumpkins and things like that. And I read the book Welcome Home by Micklin Smith. I think I'm saying that right. She has the Cozy Minimalist Home book as well, which I read a few years ago and I absolutely loved it, but I had never read the Welcome Home book, which talks a lot about changing your seasonal decor. And one of the things that it mentions is the fact that so many people have so much seasonal decor, but it can only be utilized for that one specific season. So then the rest of the year, 10 months out of the year, or even 11 months out of the year, depending on which season it is, it lives in plastic totes in the garage or in the attic or wherever you store your things. And that really hit me to where I was like, you know, I don't have a super large budget right now to be buying home decor and to be buying different pieces to switch out. And so if I am going to be buying them, I want it to be pieces that I could use most of the year round instead of just for one season. So instead of buying more pumpkins or buying specific things that could only work during fall, like pumpkins, for instance, you can't really change them around and make them work for Christmas or to work for summer. Like, they pretty much only work for fall. So instead of buying things like that, I prioritized, I really didn't want to spend much money at all, but the money that I did spend, I wanted to spend on things that I could switch out with the season. So like that picture, for instance, I also got another copper picture from Facebook Marketplace. That is one of my favorite new vintage finds. I think it is something that would be a little bit more practical in specifically fall and winter because it's a little bit of a more warm color palette with the copper, but also I think it could totally work all year round if I wanted to, and I could just change up the florals within it. Another thing that I really prioritize is not actually buying a lot of florals this year. In the past, I bought dried florals about, I think 2 or 3 years ago now, and I've used the same dried florals since then. But they were getting a little crusty. You do lose a few because they are very delicate, so every time you arrange them, I feel like you do lose some. So you can reuse them, but I do think that it's probably only best to use them for a few years at a time before they get kind of worn out. Hi friends, okay, I'm interrupting the video really quick to tell you about the sponsor of this section of today's video, Basic Bee Candle Co. It's called Basic Bee because they're made from 100% pure beeswax. So to give you a little bit of backstory, I'm a person that highly values natural living, simple living, and non-toxic living. I've shared some of that here on my channel, and we made the switch to switching over from not having toxic ingredients in the products in our home about 6 years ago now, I think. One of the very first things that we eliminated was candles. And I love candles. You guys know I'm all about cozy. I'm all about creating an atmosphere and making a cozy home and all of those things. And candles are honestly a really huge way that you can do that really affordably in your home. I loved the cozy atmosphere of it burning in my home and the flame, and obviously I loved the smell of it as well, but I didn't want the toxic ingredients that came along with that were making me sick and obviously had a lot of harmful effects on my health. Anyways, so in the past 6 years, I have not burned any candles in my home, and my sister bought me a couple of these candles last fall and I was obsessed with them. Guys, they are amazing. I connected recently with Shayna, who owns the business, and she runs it with her husband, which I love. You guys know that we have a heart for entrepreneurs and small businesses. We've been a small business for many years now, and we were full-time entrepreneurs for a long time, so we just really have a heart for other people who are doing the same. But Shayna is very similar and has a similar story where she cut out toxins and she cut out candles. So she went about finding replacements for all of these products, but one of the things she couldn't find a good replacement for was candles. There would be natural candles, but they would still have fragrance in them, they would still have additives, they would still have all this, honestly, just ingredients that she didn't love in them. Sheena is super picky with her ingredients, and so she set out to trial some things with beeswax and see if she could create a candle that she loved. The biggest thing to her was quality and purity of the ingredients. So they use 100% pure local beeswax, as well as organic, chemical-free, unbleached coconut oil, as well as high-quality essential oils that go through third-party GCMS testing with every single batch. She was sharing with me that there have been opportunities to lower the quality of their candles and get ingredients that are a little bit cheaper for them to source as a business, and she has stood firm to her convictions, and she will not compromise on quality for anything. So that is the utmost priority to her, which I really, really value as a consumer. All of that to say, I am stoked that I have found a brand that I can stand behind, that I love their product, the people behind it are amazing, and that I can actually burn candles again. They are beautiful. Their fall line comes in this amber glass, and then their Christmas line, the samples are out, I believe, and the full sizes will be out soon, so you can shop that. But the scents are incredible. They are, I will tell you, from being from a pure candle standpoint, I have tried lots of things, and the smell is a little bit lighter than traditional candles, but that's what you want because it doesn't have all the fragrance and other chemical additives that are actually harming your health in the long term. So I just want to give you a little warning as a consumer, because I do think that they are a little bit softer than like Bath and Body Works candles or things like that. However, you're not going to get the headaches. I don't know about you, but if you've cut out toxins in your home and you smell any of that like Bath and Body Works stuff, I get headaches from it. It literally like affects me in a major way now that I have eliminated them from my home. But they smell delicious. They're amazing. Shayna has actually given me a 10% off code just for my audience. So it's KyAnn in all caps for 10% off your order. I'll put the link in the description for you as well as the coupon code. And I would love for you guys to go support Shayna and her small business and go order some amazing candles for fall, to decorate your home, to cozy up for the winter. All the things. We just need all the candles. And thank you again to Shayna for sponsoring this section of today's video. And it was about that time that I really needed to go buy some new dried florals. Dried florals are expensive, guys. Like, I do think that they are more practical because you can reuse them. Like, you're not having to just buy a bouquet and then have it die and then you can't use it again. But it's still expensive and it still really adds up. I wanted to bring in some like color specifically, like some reds or deep reds and burgundies and things like that, and it was gonna be like 14 bucks for a bouquet at Hobby Lobby that had like 4 or 5 stems in it, and that was it. And so in order to fill the jars that I had to fill, it was gonna be so expensive. So what I did instead, which I did not record me actually doing this, but when we went on a nature walk, I decided to just take some scissors with me and take a little container and just trim like some of the areas that were overgrown around the park, not in people's yards or anything like that, but like in our neighborhood we have walking paths and there's like some kind of wooded areas and stuff like that. And so stuff off of the path that clearly no one was going to use, just trim a few stems of the different things that I like. So I specifically looked for things that were kind of like natural colors, and then if I found anything with deep reds or burgundies, then I would do that as well, just to keep it kind of looking cohesive. And that worked so well, and honestly that saved me so much money alone. So that is something that you can do literally completely for free. That was recommended in the book, and I've heard other people talk about it, but I've never been brave enough to do it, and honestly it was not a big deal at all. Nobody even looked at me strange or saw me doing it or anything. It really was not a big deal, and I just took a few stems, so I don't know. I think it's totally worth it. I feel like florals are a really easy way that you can update based on the season, just in different pictures that you have, so that if you don't want to spend an entire day decorating your home for whatever season it is, you don't have to. You could literally just update the florals and bring out a few pieces here and there and you would be set to go. That's another thing that I've just really been thinking through, because I really do enjoy the creative process of updating our home for each season, but also in the season that I'm in with a lot of little kids and not a lot of extra time, it does feel a little bit burdensome. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes when I get to the day that I'm gonna decorate for fall or decorate for Christmas or whatever, and I have just totes and totes of things to go through and decorate, and then I have to get into the creative process and all of that. And so I feel like this year it really did feel a lot more simple to kind of take it back a step. I want to make it really cozy and really feel like home, but that doesn't mean I have to have lots of stuff everywhere, because I tend to be more of a minimalist anyways. I'm not an extreme minimalist by any means, but I don't like a lot of clutter sitting around either. And so when I was decorating, I found that I was putting a lot more things out than I actually prefer to be out, but I wanted it to feel like fall. And so that's where the idea of going back to your 5 senses, it talks about this in the Welcome Home book, going back to those senses, taste, what you smell, what you see in the room, what you feel in the room, like all the textures, adding those things in can really make a home feel like fall without having to bring in a whole bunch of extra things that don't actually bring about that feeling of fall that you're going for. And for us, I feel like smells are a really big thing. So setting the atmosphere with smell, with candles, with different essential oils, things like that. Texture is a really big thing. Cozy items, having blankets and pillows, we'll talk more about that later in this video. Things like that help. And even things like this. This was really simple, but I got some, I guess it's not yarn. I don't know. It's ribbon, but it was like that raw edge ribbon, and it was more of the satin texture. It was beautiful. I got it from Hobby Lobby for like $3, if that. It might have actually even been less than that. And I got this little wreath because I didn't have time to put one together, or else that would have been fun to do, but this wreath was like $5. And then I got the ribbon and I tied it on there to bring some texture in. Another thing that I'm doing here that was very, very cheap, I got a big bowl. I used that as decor and I filled it with apples, and I'm going to batch together some apple butter, or I might make something different. I could make whatever I want, but I think that's something I want to do seasonally, is set out like fruits or produce that are seasonal and appropriate for that season, and just buy them in bulk so that it fills up the entire jar, and then I can make a big batch of something seasonal alongside that. Because for us, another thing is I want to be making recipes that fit the season and fit what is, you know, in harvest at that time, and just seasonally appropriate. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. I can have decor that looks beautiful and is very, you know, fitting for the season that it's in, and then I also have an excuse to make a recipe that I want to make anyways by buying in bulk this produce and setting that out as decor until I'm ready to do that. Does that make sense? I don't know. I just feel like it kind of is a double win there, and thinking through it like that just took a lot of stress off of me and made it a lot more attainable. We also got candy corn. We are not candy people over here, and we are really big about ingredients. However, I will say we are not perfect, and don't think that we are perfect. We have lots of things that we make exceptions on, and I think you still have to live life and enjoy life and all of those things. But candy is just something that we have never had in our home since we've had children, at least. We are not big dessert people, so I know that makes it easy. Like, we're just not big sweet people in general, and I don't like the ingredients in a lot of candy, so our kids have had candy certainly at other people's houses, or when they're offered it, you know, with friends or whatever, they can have it. I don't like prohibit them from having it, but we've never had it available for them to have like after dinner or anything like that. And so with this season, Matt really likes candy corn, and so that was one thing when I was thinking through the 5 senses, I was like, oh, that would be fun to have like a little dish of candy that he can just grab whenever he wants, and then the kids have been enjoying it as well. So that's been a really fun sweet treat, and I think we might like rotate through that in the seasons and just grab a candy that is seasonally appropriate. We've bought 1 bag and we haven't gone through even a quarter of that bag yet, so it's not like we're just, you know, pigging out on it by any means, but it's kind of just like a fun little extra thing. So things like that, I'm just trying to be more intentional to think through. I feel like I started being intentional about thinking about the atmosphere that I wanted in our home a few years ago, and that's when I really started decorating for the seasons. And now I'm just being intentional to take a step back and simplify a little bit, because that's really what I'm leaning towards, and not wanting to have, you know, 3 days of fall decorating in order to get everything set up. Like, that does feel a little bit just a little bit of a burden for me in the season. Maybe in a few years when my kids are older, maybe I won't feel like that anymore. I don't know, you know, seasons change constantly, but that's something that I was feeling this year, is that I was almost like dreading the fall homemaking, even though I normally really enjoy it and it's really fun. I was very much craving the end result. I was looking forward to sitting in my living room at night with the lights down, with candles on, with my warm cozy blanket, all of those things, but I was not looking forward to actually getting it to that point. And so I was like, okay, something is not in sync here. We need to take a step back and look at why this feels a little bit burdensome, a little bit stressful, and how I can make this just a simpler, more seamless process that it fits, you know, just my values and what I'm looking for. And, you know, I know that sounds silly, like we're just decorating for fall here. This is not something big, but I found that as I have gone through the process of setting up rhythms in my life, I talk about rhythms a lot here. I'm creating a course on that currently. I have a wait list down in my description if you want more information about that. But as I've gone through that the past few years of just really being intentional about our daily rhythms, our weekly rhythms, our monthly rhythms, just going through the process of just creating more peace in our home and less overwhelm, I realized that seasons change constantly, and it is not this matter of getting to this point where we arrive. We don't arrive. Our life is going to change constantly, honestly, until we die. And it's not about getting the perfect system that is going to work until the end of your days. It's more so about asking the right questions, knowing what questions to ask as your season changes, so that as your priorities change, you can change your habits and your routines and your rhythms along with them, so that you're not getting to this place where you're like, oh my gosh, my life feels completely out of control, and looking back and realizing, well, all all of these things about our daily life have changed completely in the last few months, and we haven't done anything to shift our habits and routines and schedule along with them. I don't know if that makes sense, and so that's something that I realized with something as simple as fall decorating is just, it wasn't fitting my life anymore. I have more kids than I used to have. I have lots of little people around all the time. I'm also working in a different capacity than I was then, and I really kind of need my free time right now to be able to pour into work that I love and creating this community that I love. And so I don't have as much time necessarily to just spend 3 days decorating for fall. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't resonate with anyone else, but I just thought I would mention that. Okay, now I got to talking, and you're probably wondering what is going on in this video, but I am making a fall syrup. So another thing that I like to do, another rhythm in my life, is to create seasonal syrup recipes. So we make coffee at home all the time, and I make homemade syrups. They're super easy. They are not intimidating at all, guys. They literally take like 3 to 5 minutes for most of them. This recipe actually takes 15 minutes, but this is the longest one that I've made, and it's just simmering, so it's not a big deal. So simple to do. I love the ingredients of it. I have a few videos that show how I make my coffee at home, different syrup recipes that I've done in the past, some of my staples, so I'll link those below if you want to see them. But one thing I like to do when the season changes is try 1 or 2 new syrups specific to that season. So right now I'm making an apple brown sugar syrup. I've never made this one before, so it has like the core and a few pieces of a couple of apples and brown sugar. Let's see, what else did it have? Cinnamon, nutmeg, water. I think that was about it. I'll link the recipe down below. It was very easy to make, and so I'm just making that now so that I can have that on hand to make a fall coffee this afternoon that I can enjoy while I have my quiet time. And again, this is just a rhythm that I really enjoy doing. Taste is important to us. We like food. We like yummy drinks. Drinks are a big thing. I like to make them special, and so this is a fun way to welcome in fall. I just came in the living room to check on Payson and found her underneath the side table, looking at herself in the mirror. What are you doing in there, little girl? What are you doing? Did you want to come see your little friend in the mirror? And yes, for an update on Payson, but she's crawling and getting around everywhere and standing, and she's not even 8 months old. So she's definitely following in her siblings' footsteps and wanting to keep up with them, that's for sure. Recently, I've been diffusing Stress Away and cinnamon, and it is like the perfect fall blend, and I love it. I don't have any links. I'm not a distributor or anything like that, but just a recommendation. I love it. On the note of textures and bringing in like your senses, one of the things that I love to do with each seasons is change out our pillow covers and our blankets. Changing out your pillow covers is a really affordable way to bring like a new style to a space without spending a ton of money, and changing out the blankets kind of does the same thing. I just make sure that I'm getting a blanket that fits the vibe that I want, that is pretty and cozy to look at, you know, kind of depending on which season I'm talking about, but for fall, I want it to be cozy. As I'm finishing up making my coffee with my new syrup here, I'm going to have a few minutes of quiet time this afternoon. It did not get done this morning. It was kind of a busy morning, so I'm taking a few minutes this afternoon to do that. I also wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who is here and who subscribed from my prayer Bible video. I know there are a lot of new faces around here, and I'm really grateful that you guys joined this channel. I love talking about all the prayer Bible stuff. I have been utilizing it all the time, and it has been so cool because I've had multiple people, probably 4 or 5 different people that specifically needed prayers on healing in the last week or so. And they were people, some of them that were very close to me, some of them that were not as close. And it was so nice, guys, to have these sections already itemized out in my Bible so I could find my sections on healing, protection, favor, all of those things, and I could pray through them. And I was even able to send some verses to a friend who was in a hard season that could just use verses to be able to just pray directly and not have to spend a lot of time finding the verses or anything like that when she didn't didn't have a lot of mental brain power right now to be able to do that, I could send them over to her and be a resource to her in this hard time. And I don't know, between that and Israel and just lots of things happening in the world right now, it really was, we kept saying over and over, like, this was such an answer to prayer. God knew that we would need this at this exact time, and this is so cool that this can be a resource for other people and such an encouragement to me to already have the word set aside so that I can not just say that I'm going to pray for someone and pray for them here and there when I think of them, but then kind of just run out of things to say, but that every time I thought of them, I could bring out my prayer Bible and pray through every single verse that I had on all of those things. It has been such a powerful tool, guys. Let me tell you, it has been incredible, and I will link my prayer Bible video below. You can find that on my channel. You can go look for it yourself if you would like, but it's honestly revolutionizing my prayer life, and I'm continuing to add topics to it and continuing to just learn and, you know, get familiar with it, because the more you use it, the more you're going to be able to find the tabs. Some people were asking questions about like color coding, and yes, they are color coded by section, but also as you use it, I don't have like an index in the front of my Bible. The more you use it, the more you're going to remember what each color stands for, and I have it written under each tab as well, so I can easily find it. So it's very user friendly. It's been an encouragement to me to remember that as I continue to use it more, I'm going to memorize what each one is, and I found that throughout this week, even as I'm utilizing it, like it was very easy to remember which one was which, even though I have quite a few different topics. And I think the more that you use it every day and multiple times a day, you're just going to remember them more, and it's truly just going to be a tool. I'm doing a Bible study right now by Milena and Nava. I feel like I have so many things to link in this video, but this Bible study has been amazing. It's $8, so it's super worth it. I don't have an affiliate link or anything like that, but I can leave it in the description because it has been blessing my life. And the Bible study is on the armor of God, and so it talks about taking up all of this armor that the Lord provides us with, and the shield of faith, and all of these different things that the Lord gives us. And he gives us the Bible as a sword. This is a weapon that we can use, guys. It is a tool that we can use, and I think any way that we can set ourselves up to use it more regularly and to use it in our prayer life and in our daily life, and to let it come in and just trickle down into every part of our life, every part of our days, every part of our spirit, I want to be doing that. That is what I want to be doing. And this prayer Bible has been just a really cool testament to just how powerful the Word of God is, and how much I want to continue to grow in using it and knowing it more and more as I continue in my life. Okay, I just tried the brown sugar apple syrup, and it is really yummy. I did an iced latte. I was going to do a hot latte, but I'm really more of an iced latte person. Probably like 1 out of 10 times I make a hot latte. I do like hot lattes, but I just tend to like iced more. Anyways, and it's really good. It's a little, I feel like the fruity flavors in iced coffee especially are a little fainter. At least that's what I've found. So it's a little fainter than some of the other syrups that I use, but you can definitely still taste it, and it's really yummy, and I'm really excited to try it in a hot latte in the morning. If I do a hot latte, I tend to do them in the morning, and it is not morning anymore. So I just think it's fun to try new syrups, and especially seasonally, I like to try a few new ones each season and just mix things up and make different style lattes. It's like a full-blown coffee shop over here. It gives you that vibe, you know, even though you're just making at-home lattes. But it just, I don't know, it's a fun creative process for me, so I like it. Anyways, I'll try it in the morning, and I'm sure it will be delicious, but I'll leave the recipe for that down below so that you can make it yourself if you want to as well. Okay, now it is time to get into the baking part. Does anyone else find themselves just baking so much more often in the fall? I'm sure you probably do. I'm sure that's a very common thing. But when fall rolls around, I always get so inspired to bake, and the first thing that I usually want to bake is pumpkin cream cheese muffins. Guys, this recipe is incredible. We make it every single year, multiple times each fall. We always bring it to small group multiple times because everyone requests that we bring it, and they love it. It's so good. I started making it a few years ago. One of my friends gave me the recipe, and it is addicting. It is so yummy. It's so easy, and it's just so good. So I'll link the recipe down below so that you guys can have it. But one tradition that we kind of started this year is that we watch Gilmore Girls in the fall. I don't know if anyone else loves Gilmore Girls, but we just started watching it a few years ago and watched it all the way through, and now every year I rewatch it in the fall. And actually Matt watches it with me. I know most people probably don't get their husbands to watch that, but he actually enjoys it as well, so we watch it together. And what I wanted to do this year was to kind of like hold off on watching it, which, to be honest, I don't have hardly any time to watch shows anymore, so it takes me like 5 million years to go through a show, so really I didn't need to hold off. I probably should have started this in like January if I actually wanted to get through it this year, let's be honest. Just the season of life that I'm in at the moment. But I wanted to create kind of a tradition of when we started it, that it was actually full time and that we had pumpkin cream cheese muffins and like a yummy fall drink as well. Just to kind of like, again, just be intentional with creating some of these moments. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like extra here, but sometimes like being intentional to slow down and think through those things, especially for us right now. We are in a really busy season. I am working on finalizing my course that will come out in a few weeks. That's taking a lot of time. Matt is actually in school, and that's taking about 3+ extra hours a day outside of his full-time job. We also are doing some photography sessions. We used to be full-time photographers, if you didn't know, and so every fall we do some mini sessions for our past clients and friends who really want to have pictures, but we can't do them all the time, so we utilize the fall as an opportunity to do them all at once. But it still takes a lot of time just to organize those, to take them, to edit them, to do all of those things. So our schedule is just really full between that and family birthdays. We've got lots of family birthdays, lots of family events, weddings, all the things. And it is a busy season for sure around here. And so taking the time to slow down and be intentional, even in these little moments of rest that we do have, and prioritizing that is just really important to me. So, you know, this is just a fun way that we can kind of like welcome in fall, have a yummy treat, and, you know, make a little tradition of starting a show that we enjoy watching in the fall. So you'll have to comment down below if you also like watching Gilmore Girls in the fall. I know a lot of people do that, and it's just something fun that we enjoy doing. I think I can get caught in the trap of saying, oh, you know, once life slows down, I'll do this. And it's very easy for me to say that, but the reality, at least for me, is I have to be intentional to slow down now. Life is never going to slow down enough that I can just stop completely, but I can find slow moments of rest in every single day and prioritize my life in a way that I can make that happen often, even during really busy seasons. So that's something that's a priority to me, something that I've really established in the last few years, and it has definitely been a blessing to our family. Okay, Camden wanted to join me to say bye to you guys while I braid her hair really quick. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it encouraging or inspiring in some way to really just make your home into a beautiful, cozy home in whatever season you're in with whatever budget you have. You can use things that are free or very cheap, and you can make a beautiful home like that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're new around here, I share lots of content around motherhood, daily rhythms, intentional living, Christian homemaking, all of that sort of thing. And if you like that kind of content, I would love for you to subscribe and join our YouTube family. I'm so grateful that our little community is growing, and there are so many incredible women here, and I can't wait to get to know all of you. I will leave all the links that I mentioned in this video below, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye, friends!
Bye, friends!